Hey, family. It's your girl out here in this beautiful, clear October morning on this cold beach. It's a little chilly out here. But I just wanted to come to you and do a little video. And I'm just going to reiterate a few things. And the reason I reiterate them is because somebody still needs to hear this. And sometimes it's, I always tell people, I be thinking when people keep telling me the same thing over and over again about themselves or something, I'm like, are you trying to convince me or are you trying to convince yourself, And so sometimes we need to see who are we trying to convince, and sometimes we need to convince ourselves of some truths that we're struggling with. And so one of those truths is walking in authenticity. And the walking in authenticity is about, can you handle who you are? Because while you are trying to convince me and telling everyone else, sometimes we don't need to explain to other people who we are, what we're about. We don't need to explain ourselves to the degree that people want you to, because most of the time people fear you. They fear you because they see you doing things that they may have thought to do but were afraid of. I had someone ask me, I had someone say in my presence one time, we were kind of married at the same time. I'm trying to figure out what would have happened with me if I would have left when you did. I'm trying to figure out, why did I stay? And in those instances where people see you raise your children, buy your home, do all of those things that they're doing with someone, and they see you doing these things alone as a single parent or whatever it may be, just because you're single, without children, with children, either way, a man, single single with many children's baby mamas or whatever. Sometimes people are just afraid, but standing in the truth of who you are, when you begin to heal your shadow self, when you begin to heal the ego self, when you begin to heal the pain, the hurt, the trauma, the religious traditions and things that have been put on us, you really heal and you begin to make way in the realm of the spirit for a new you. You resurrect your higher self. You keep dying and you keep shedding away the old past you, and you resurrect the you that's like, whoa, And so we have to get to the place where we really accept who we are, appreciate who we are, and take the power and the authority that's given to us in the realm of the spirit. It's amazing because I don't know, but some of you Bible people know probably stories that each time when you go out into war, you gain more territory. And so I would look at it to be the same in the realm of the spirit. Each time you defeat a past version of yourself, you gain more territory in the realm of the spirit. And so, as they say, the weapons can form against you. You have to know that everything that happens to you in this life is a testing of your faith. It's a trying of your faith. It's trying to get you to believe in God at a level of literally being able to walk on water. And so, for me, this is where I'm here. And I don't know no other way to explain it, family. It's to say I'm here, but it's like my spirit mind is here. My higher self is here. But it's as if my mind, my flesh has to catch up with it, because it's like, and so as I was saying at the beginning of that video, guess who I'm trying to convince me. So I'm doing this video again. It's not for you all. Oh, but come on, you can glean from this if you desire. But at the end of the day, I realize I'm still trying to convince me of the weight. Oh my God, of the weight of the glory that has been bestowed upon me in this season. It's blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind to see my words manifest into form, come to form. It's blowing my mind to see things that I said would not happen, or things that I said would happen. It's blowing my mind. So when I tell y'all that my entire life, everything that I have gone through from like 1996 to present, I can't go no further back than that. I can't really remember that far back before 1996. But let me tell you, I have been on a spiritual journey. And if I could really map and show the synchronicities and the things that happened that led me to one thing to the next. And that's pretty much, it was like a connect the dots. Things that happened in my life and then getting me to where I am today. It was nothing but the hand of God moving in my life. From early on, the hand of God was moving strategically. And it was just a matter of me recognizing that I was being called, that I was being led, that I was being guided. And any time that I stayed in a place too long, it would become so uncomfortable for me. It would become so frustrating for me that I would literally break loose. And so I could see how I was being like a caged bird. And I had to break free, to fly free, you know? And so I could see why people would think that, you know, this or that about you. When they really don't know. People really don't know what you've been through. They really don't know who you are. Because you only hear one side of, you only hear the side I tell you, don't hear all of the other real ugly stuff that's happened. Because I look at it as, what do you call that? It's probably like my energy drink. That's probably the things that happen and the people that come up against you, all for righteousness' sake. All for righteousness' sake. The things that they do to you secretly and think that you don't know. So, it's like all for righteousness' sake. And so it's so important for you to be true to who you are. And the more, what I realized is the more that I was true with myself, the more he began to prove me to myself. See, now you could do this. You could do this. But you can't do this trying to be like this person. You can't do this trying to be that. I need you to be authentic in who you are. And so it's something amazing about being authentic and being real with Spirit, with Holy Spirit, and surrendering your true self, saying, you know what, I don't feel like I'm worthy. Sometimes you wonder why. Sometimes I would wonder why, but I'm convinced now. And once you become convinced, no man, nothing can tear you down. Even God himself could come here and say, well, I don't think so. But Lord, you said, Lord. You said, Lord, I remember that you said. I remember that you told me this, Lord. I remember that you said you were going to do this in my life. And Lord, I'm still believing you for it. I'm still expecting it to happen just like you said it would. And, and so when you begin to walk in your purpose, you begin to walk on his word. It's a tightrope. It's a tightrope walking on the word of God and on the word that God has spoken to you. You cannot falter on it. But once you're so far up, once you are so high up, it's easy to fall. You have a, what do they call, the higher you go up, the higher, the harder the fall. When you fall harder. But recognizing and knowing that you're even in the hand of God and that you're in the will of God, when you're in or out, it doesn't matter where I go. I know that I'm being led. Even when I don't think I'm being led, I'm being led. And he proves it to me, how I'm leading you, how I'm showing you, how I'm taking you away that hasn't been gone before. No, you're not going to see no tracks on this road. No, you're not going to see a path that's been carved out for you. The only way you're going to know and see is to follow me. And so it becomes like you're in a place of I'm pretty much following blindly. I'm trusting on the word. I'm trusting on his presence. But remember, there was a time I remember talking about. Remember, I believe it was David and Saul, right? And David had been walking with Saul and one of his mentees, I would say, and at some point, David says in one of his writings, I don't even remember where, Lord, whatever you do, don't take your presence from me. And you know what I always said, it's amazing because I believe David had saw Saul walking with God in his presence. And I think he saw Saul walking when God had removed his presence from him. And he said, one thing I don't want you to do, Lord, is whatever you do, you can do whatever you want. But don't take your Holy Spirit. Don't take your presence from me, God. And so as long as you can always tap into the Spirit of God, when you become one with God, he's always there with you. You have to separate yourself just like Adam and Eve did in the Garden of Eden. You have to separate from God. God has to come to you and say, where art thou? Adam, where art thou? And I'm not ready to separate myself from God in that way. So no matter where I go, no matter what I do, his presence abides in me. I am in him, he is in me. We are one in the Spirit. When Jesus said, when you see me, you see the Father. So that's where we have to get to a place of authenticity. But it becomes first of unraveling the truth about who we are, the truth about our sicknesses, the truth about our diseases, the truth about the infestation in our hearts, the truth about the ugliness. You have to come to grips with all of who you are and who you are not. You have to accept that as a truth and be willing to walk in healing, in the process of healing and acknowledging this. If you a liar, come on, admit yourself to be a liar. He has grace for the liar. He has redemption for the liar. Come on. But he loves authenticity. And so it's something about being authentic and true. When I moved to Florida back in 2016, I remember he giving me this whole revival of true worship. And in the revival of true worship, it began to be, it became real to me. Like, how are you a leader in a church? How can a man and a woman be at home fighting in a lifeless marriage, a marriage that's an agony in front, it's a lie, and then go into the church and raise your hands up and call upon the holy God? And I think for some of us, we're not allowing the truth to hit us deep enough. We want to hold a front. We want to hold something up to the people and say this is what it is. But man of God, woman of God, you cannot go into a house of worship. You cannot call on a holy and a worthy God and worship him in truth and in spirit if you're living a lie. I think that God would prefer that you admit that you are a liar in his presence. Admit that you are down low in his presence. Admit that you are not attracted to your husband or your wife. Admit that the marriage is a marriage of convenience. Admit that you're fornicating. Admit that we are living in sin. Admit who we are. Admit it, the truth about who we are. And then go to God. Then stand up and worship. in that place. And if it's not something, it's amazing, because I don't know. I know this is very controversial, because a lot of people don't want to accept homosexuality into the house of God. They consider it an abomination, and I I must admit that I at some point in time, so did I thought that too. But then I began to see something about people who were living a homosexual lifestyle, and I began to see something that was pure and authentic about it. All right. If y'all know where I'm going with this, go on. Especially with you who are out there struggling with homosexual feelings. It's something amazing about an authentic heart before God. And I don't think God would despise an authentic heart. I think God appreciates one who admits his sin, stands in his truth, and continue to seek and love and worship God, opposed to one who lives a lie and try to worship and praise God under the lie. I don't know. Yeah. But it seems to me that I can appreciate your authenticity. That God would, that when Jesus would look a man in the face and say, you know what, I can appreciate your authenticity. I can appreciate you telling me that you're broken and that you've been wounded as a masculine or a woman. You've been molested or you've been misused and abused. And you have feelings that you can't explain. This is going someplace I didn't have no intention, Lord. What are you doing? But somebody needs to be healed. Somebody needs to be delivered. And what are we here for if we're not here for the people? What are we here for if we are not here for the people? To be healed, to be delivered, to be set free, to pull down pull back the layers of disguises that we have put on and become humble before God in our truest form. Pure hearts, spirit to spirit worship. Worshiping from the truth and the authenticity of who it is you are, who it is you desire to be. So, I know I can be very unorthodox and controversial at times. But I don't know. I think for me, sometimes, it's just all about love. It's all about love. It's all about truth and authenticity. And the more we walk in the truth about who we are, the more we stand in our truth of who we are not and accept who we are. It's crazy, because the weirdest thing is like we go out and we'll try to convince people of us being something that we are not. But when it comes down to being the truth about who you really are, it's the hardest thing for people. But yet and still we continue to try to convince people of some other alter ego of who we are not. But the truth of it's crazy, because some people have this grandiose idea of themselves, that they have this huge ego, that they're so they're so great. And then when you really get to know them, you see, like, this is the worst person I ever come across. You know what? I come to realize that most people who put out a delusion of grandeur, they at some point in their lives they are meant to be great. They feel it deep down. So it's not a delusion. They're still trying to manifest it, but they're working on it, but it ain't happened yet. But you got to have a balance to know that you ain't there yet. Bro, bring it down a notch. You're not there yet. I'm sorry. You just aren't there yet. Not yet. Maybe coming soon. Coming soon, but not yet. But continue to manifest it. Continue to believe. Because he created, many of you, he created for greatness. But as I was saying, as I come on, I'm still trying to convince myself, but this is the groundedness for me. This is how I stay meek and stay, humble. And so, for me, it's always people who come at me and they're like, oh, she thinks she all that. I know I'm the ish. I know I'm all that. But I don't have to walk with an air of that. You don't see, unless the only way you see that is that you're like, jealous or envious or something like that. But I'm not the person that need to be knocked down a peg, or you need to knock me off my white horse. My white horse is where he had put me on. The great room, the great throne room. That's where I'm seated. I'm seated there. You can't get me up out of that. I'm seated there. That's my position and my rank in the realm of the spirit. However, it took some time for me to be convinced of it. It took at many times seeing my words come to pass, seeing the things I spoke to people come to pass. I still wasn't convinced. It took a while for me to really believe the power and authority that's held in the tongue. Just speaking a thing. People don't want you to realize this, but you realize it. You realize it when people shun you, when people project their insecurities on you, their fears on you. You realize it when people reject you from the, not want to be associated with you. You realize at some point, what is going on? What's wrong with me? All of the times you get kicked out of this and kicked out of that and pushed out of this and you realize at some point God was preparing me all along. God was showing me stuff in the realm of the spirit that I was stepping on these folks' toes, and I did not know it. And so, that's just a part of the life lessons. That's a part of what they say when you be cultivated into something like that. Rank, rule, power, authority, dunamis, exousia. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful place. I can't figure out. That is just so beautiful to me. Wow. It looks like a fish or something. It's weird. But anyway, God is awesome. Amazing. Look at those waves. Look, they like go down there. They going out. They coming in. And then they going left to right. I don't mean to get you all dizzy. I just wanted to share my morning with you. My morning cup of coffee. Yes, so be blessed today, y'all. Try to walk in more of the truth about who you are, and give people room and space to be honest and be, to walk in their own authenticity. Be who you are. Don't try to mimic other people. Don't try to be somebody you're not. You can never be someone else. I can never be you. You can never be me. Because everything that you went through in life from the moment you were conceived in the womb, everything you heard even while in the womb to present day is a part of the construction of where you are supposed to be at in life, of your destiny, or where you're going, who you are, and what you were created to be. It's all a part of it. So you coming off of that lane, getting out of that lane, getting into my lane, try to fast track and be on my lane and do what I'm supposed to do, or me trying to do something that you're supposed to do, it will never, ever. And people cannot stop you. What God has called and ordained you to do is going to happen in and through you. No man can stop the hand of God. What did he say? Your arms are way too short to box with God. You're fighting with God. Especially when you're on track and you're in your purpose, you become unstoppable. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. This is how you got to be. When you know what it is you're called to do and you do it, people can only copy and steal and try to mimic you and do what it is you do for a little while. They will always abandon it because they will never have the passion for it. And this is why it's so easy for us to do what it is we're called to do. This is why it's like a early morning walk with breakfast, enjoying life. Because when you're walking in your purpose, when you're serving humanity, when you're doing what it is you're called to do, it's easy, breezy. It's easy. Doing what it is you love to do. It's easy, comes easy. It's like you're not even working. When you say, I woke up like this. Woo. So have a good day. Be true, be authentic, and walk in your purpose, okay? You become unstoppable.